Hello, welcome back to Mastering Thought with Mark Waller and Christina Black. So, we're covering today something that popped up in my head because I have the experience of my brain sort of just freezes when I wake up and my kids are around. I love them, I love talking to them, I love the morning cuddles, all that. And then they just start like talking to me nonstop while I'm like trying to wake up and get oriented. And they're asking me a million questions. And then as my brain starts turning on and I'm thinking, um, okay, like today, what's the plan for today? What's on my calendar? Okay, what do I need to do to get ready for that? And I'll sluggishly and slowly get to that point because I'm like frozen because I know they're just going to talk to me or if they're there it's like any second they can talk to me. And so I'm just like, oh, I can't think when they talk to me. What am I going to do? And I'm going to forget stuff and we're going to be late and like this is what kind of happens in my head, and I recognize I'm spiraling, and I'll even recognize it then. Be like, okay, I know I'm stuck. I know this is not productive. I don't know how to get unstuck, and I don't know how, like and we're pretty intentional with our kids. Okay, I need to do something right now, so I need you to not talk to me. Okay, mom. And then like 30 seconds later, hey mom, did you know on Zelda you can get the bomb flowers and blah 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 blah? And do you know there's a puzzle there? And I'd really like you to help me with that puzzle. And I'm like, oh my gosh, buddy, remember I can't talk right now. Oh yeah, sorry, mom. Like and so, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with me. And I just figure I'm not the only one out there that experiences things like this. So, what do you think? What can I do to get efficient?
Okay, so the question becomes, what is the emotion that you experience when you're stuck?
Well, overwhelmed and smothered.
Okay, overwhelmed and smothered is what is the feeling that you're describing your perception, but what is the feeling that's underneath that?
Chaotic. It feels chaotic to me.
Okay, again, you're describing the situation. What's the
Okay.
feeling? What's the emotion that you're experiencing?
Dread.
Dread. Okay, dread. Dread is
Yeah.
what? What's another word
Fear
for
of the
dread?
future.
Fear.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you concerned might happen?
Uh, One, I feel frustrated that I don't have the space to think. Two, I'm concerned that I'm going to drop the ball somehow. And
Okay, wait a
yeah.
minute. Wait a minute. Just stop right there.
Okay.
So you're concerned you're going to drop the ball. What's another, a more emotional way of saying that?
I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to fail.
You're going to fail. Excellent. Right. So yes. So the first thing when you wake up and your kids approach you, what's going through your mind is you're afraid you're going to fail.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's honestly fair, which is so
Okay.
sad because I really love them.
So, so let me ask you a question. If you fail, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? Go to your gut.
Uh,
Don't go to your head. Go to your gut.
okay. I'm not going to be proud of myself.
Okay, what's the worst thing that's going to be happen to you if you make a mistake, if you fail? What's the
It's
worst thing?
it's going to reinforce the voice in my head that is afraid.
Okay, but I'm asking you. Here are your
Like in a
kids.
practical way?
Here, yeah. Here are your. Go to your gut. Here are your kids. They're smothering you. You're overwhelmed. You're afraid you're going to make a mistake. What's the worst thing that could happen if you make a mistake? If you fail?
I mean, inconvenience, but really
That's
not
that's
usually.
not the worst.
Uh,
Inconvenience is not the worst.
well, like looking like an idiot in front of people, or
Okay, okay. No, wait a
letting my
minute.
kids down,
Stop. Okay,
letting myself down.
okay. All right. So if you, so this is great. So what we're doing is we're just trying to pare this down to the essentials of what's going on.
Hmm.
This is not like therapy or anything like that. We're just trying to clarify what is
Yeah,
actually
what's
happening.
happening? Mm-hmm.
So if you fail, and God, what were the words you just used that were great?
Drop the
If you let
ball.
everybody down,
Mm-hmm.
what is the worst thing that could happen if you let everybody down?
They will think that I'm a failure, and then I'll be afraid of what they think of me.
Okay, so what does that and what will they do if they see you as a failure? What do you think they will do?
Mm, not trust me, I think. Like, not trust that I'm able to handle something or that I'm not a good teammate or maybe like depending on the people, maybe I'd be afraid they're going to talk about me when I'm gone.
Okay, so if they talk about you when you're gone, what do you think they're going to decide to do?
If I fail, either give me less responsibilities or or just not respect me, I guess.
If they don't respect you, what are you afraid they're going to do? Where you're concerned.
Well, I mean, definitely rejection, like some
Yeah,
sort of
oh,
rejection.
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you wake up and here come your kids, they're smothering and so forth, and you don't have the ability to respond, brightly as many of us
hmm
do when we wake up. And so
hmm
you're afraid that you're going to fail, you're going to forget things, you're not going to execute it right, and ultimately be rejected.
hmm
Okay, what does that tell you about what they think or feel about you?
I care too much.
That's not what they think.
Oh. What? Okay, repeat the question because I misunderstood.
So they're going to reject you because you can't get your act together.
Yeah.
You're going to fail, so they're going to reject you. So what does that tell you what they think or feel about you? You kind of have to project
Oh, like, well,
in
they don't think very highly of me.
okay. All right. So now let's let's go back to this little diagram that I used before because I want to explain to you what's happening.
Yeah.
And when you have an emotional reaction, when anybody has an emotional reaction, this is what happens. So emotional reactions come from the limbic system.
Right.
Always, 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 when you're experiencing an emotional reaction, there is some association with early childhood emotional learning.
hmm
So let me give you a method of to sort this out and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So what's happening is you think you're going to fail and be rejected as a result because they don't think you're good enough. Every time you have that feeling, just ask yourself, how does this relate to my childhood? And
Mm.
then don't try to answer it.
Right.
Let your
Let the answer
non-conscious
float up.
brain present the solution to you.
hmm
Because what's happening in principle, just this is just a principle, your brain has to make an association between what's happening when you're waking up with the kids and early childhood emotional learning. So those two things are tied together somehow.
hmm
So all you have to do is present your non-conscious awareness the challenge of okay, connect these dots for me. Show me how this relates.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely think back to like painful things that were said to me by my parents when I was young. Um, and I don't know how much to share or not,
Well,
but I
don't
mean,
share anything.
I can already like find the first piece, I think.
Okay, so and that's good, and quite often that's the case, but quite often it's not the case. People don't have a clue where any of this is coming from,
Yeah.
and so the principle is, and what you might explore with your therapist is just ask the question: how is this reaction related to my early childhood experience?
Yeah, that's a question to write down, huh?
And what will happen,
How
what I have discovered is if people pose this question within a day or two or a week, they'll be in the shower, scrubbing their head, and all of a
right.
sudden they'll realize, oh my God, I know what this is related to.
Yeah.
And that knowing sets you free.
So just knowing.
So then the next time the kids come tumbling into the room and you're still awake or asleep and you're trying to, function and this feeling comes over you, you realize, oh, wait a minute, this is about that. This is not about the present moment at all.
Yeah, kind of like the fight, like you've talked about earlier when you're in a fight with your spouse. This
Right, same
I'm
thing.
not reacting to this situation, I'm reacting to something from before.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
that makes sense.
And I know this concept is it's hard to get your head around, but see, I mean, you presented something this morning that you would never have thought was related to your childhood. But
Right.
but see, even in discussing the roadmap, you've already started to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I that would make a huge difference in every day to get rid of that.
Well, you
That
don't.
would just be so nice.
What happens is you don't get rid of it, but the instant it starts to come up, you realize, oh, that's about dad. It's not about this. I see what it is.
Uh-huh.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it's still there, but you're now the master. It's not an automatic process anymore because you
Mm-hmm.
have integrated your awareness of it into the experience, and now it can't conquer you anymore.
Yeah, you turned on a light.
So let me give you an example. I had somebody I was working with last night, and his problem, he knows it intellectually. His problem is that his stepfather was very abusive.
Mm.
Okay, and he knows intellectually that when his wife gets an angry tone, that he starts relating her as his stepfather.
Mm.
In other words, it's projection. And
Right.
so what happened is they started to have a bit of an argument. And in the midst of the argument, he stopped and he asked himself, how's this related to my stepfather? And he saw it. He saw it as it was happening.
Mm.
And it completely set him free.
Hmm.
Because he realized that what was happening in his brain is the angry tone was triggering the memories of his stepfather subconsciously. And he was
Mm-hmm.
reacting to that instead of his wife. And that's where all the problem was coming from.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So he
It's
didn't have
nice
to
to
go
have
through
another
years of
example too.
therapy.
Yeah.
He just asked the question, okay, where is this really coming from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just pausing in the middle and if I haven't already prepared myself for them coming in and going like, okay, I might feel this way, but it's not really about them. But I can, if it starts happening, then I can pause for a second and go, okay, this is not really about them. And then it will free me up to respond to that situation that day.
That's right. But in order
Yeah.
to do that, to have that awareness, you have to connect the dots.
Yeah. So I got homework to do until I reach the end of the line, kind of a thing.
Now, this is where it goes back to the thought watching exercise. Remember in the last episode, I said this is like a 1-2 process.
Yeah.
So, so when we believe we're the voice in our heads, we're basically in a trance, and the hypnotist is the voice in our heads.
Mm,
And when you do the
okay.
thought watching, you wake up from the trance, and you wake up in the front of your brain, which has this kind of metacognition that can see what's going on, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
connecting these dots very much more easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this kind of it's packaged a little bit differently, but it has some overlap with the body work I do in craniosacral therapy. And that's one of the things that's really helpful about it is because it does start to open up your mind to letting go of trauma. But first, you have to be in this really calm emotional state, which thankfully in that therapy it does it, but I could see it being even more productive for like me doing this exercise when I'm not with a therapist, or body worker therapist is what I meant, like to put on like music that makes you calm, or like I don't know, I could see it just being beneficial to do making a setting that already puts you at ease, so that as you tackle these scary or painful places, it's it feels a lot safer to do that.
Well, I really appreciate what you're saying. I would add to that that there's no reason for you to go back and explore the painful feelings.
You don't think so?
No, no. So, for instance, I'm looking for a prop here, but let's say I have a purse. Let's say my limbic system is like a purse. Here, I'm carrying a
Mm-hmm.
purse. Okay. All right. So all of my baggage is in the purse, my emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in traditional therapy, what you would do is you'd take the contents of the purse and you'd pour it out, and you and your therapist would explore. Okay, this is from mom, and this is from dad, and this is trauma, this is negative, whatever. To my way of thinking, all you really need to do is know that you just picked up the purse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go explore all this pain. Okay, my relationship with my mother was strained. I get it. What I'm really after is how is that being triggered in the moment? I don't need to go back and explore all that. That's not important. What's important is, okay, I know there's a rejection in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
What I need to know is, okay, I'm interacting with my wife, and I need to know that I just picked up the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I look and I say, wait a minute, I don't need this bag. I put it down, and now I can deal with my wife without my baggage in the way.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying more in the practical, in the moment sense that it's like that.
Right.
And the reason I make that comment at all is for like in my therapy, it if you're a stuffer, if you stuff your emotions, they actually do tend to change your body and make it really tight and not
Oh,
work as well.
right.
And so, like, if your goal is really to let go of the trauma, in those situations, like, it is helpful if you've been like, okay, that hurts. I'm not going to look at it at all. I'm going to shove it in the bag and put the
Right.
bag in the other room and then burn the house. Like, um, in those situations, you actually do want to take a minute and go, yeah, that hurt, and it hurt because of this, and that wasn't fair, and that wasn't right, and there's nothing I can um, change about the past now, but I can just stand up for myself and say, like, that thing that happened was not okay, and but I'm okay now, and I don't have to let this hold me down anymore. So
Right.
yeah, that's why it took me an extra second to think, but they are different situations.
Yeah, but see, here's what happened today is you woke up and felt overwhelmed by your children
Yeah.
because a set of associations that
Yeah.
are from your past. Okay, once you know that, now you can go to your therapist, you can go to your bodywork person, you can go wherever you need to go to work that out.
Yeah, as a longer term plan.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that this is happening, maybe you get lucky and you go to Christina Black, and then in the middle of a treatment it emerges and you suddenly see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So that's a different way of doing it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
as a matter of principle, these two things are related. So all you have to do is just ask the question: how are they related?
Yeah. No, it's super helpful. Like, and tell me if you wouldn't categorize it this way, but it seems like this exercise you're proposing is more like in the moment when you're already in the middle of it. Stop, observe, boom. You can be clear and
Right.
address this situation today.
Once you've
And
connected the
then
dots.
once you've connected the dots, and then the other would maybe be more of like something you plan in your self care, but not it's not practical always in the moment to be like, oh, my kids are overwhelming me. Let me call my body worker and see if she can come to my house right now.
Well,
But
basically, it all comes down to this: we are being tricked by our brains.
yeah,
We've been trained to believe that something is happening, and we adapted to that, whatever it was, and it comes with it, its own particular emotional reaction. But the brain keeps thinking we're trying to survive that. And what we're trying to do
yeah.
here is become aware that we've activated a survival mechanism where none was needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're taking
Mm-hmm.
defensive action and having all these feelings based on an association, not on reality.
Mm. So good.
Because the brain
So
thinks,
good.
okay, I'm in the house with mom or dad or whatever, and you're not there. But when you see the mistake that's being made by your own limbic system trying to
Observing.
hijack your perception, you're free of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. That's so cool.
So this guy I was
Well, I'm
talking
excited.
about, what this guy I was talking about from last night, he's excited too because he knows now every time he interacts with his wife, if she has an angry tone, he's going to start experiencing the threat from his stepfather. And he'll now
Yeah.
be able to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to sidestep it now.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's all about self awareness and just asking the simple question, how is this related to my childhood? And you will get the answer. You don't have to go to psychoanalysis for 2 years to get these answers. They're there. You just
Yeah.
need to ask for
Yeah, and be a good listener.
them.
It's important. It's important.
So this applies to your situation and anybody else out there. If you're experiencing anger, if you're experiencing anxiety, if you're feeling overwhelmed and it's a pattern, if you're angry at your spouse, if you're trying to avoid conflict, all these patterns of emotional reactivity are all related to early childhood emotional learning. And they just repeat themselves over and over and over.
Hmm. So cool. I'm excited to try this in more areas of my life because it's been so powerful with my relationship with my husband. So,
Right.
yeah, onward and upward.
Well, my guess is that you're going to find that this pattern that you explained with your children is masquerading in other parts of your life, and you didn't realize it was all related.
Yeah. Oof. I've got some looking to do. Observing as I live my life, not not overwhelmed.
So, any other questions about that?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess just to make it more applicable to more types of things, it's like you said, just patterns where it's coming up often and just taking a moment, no matter what those kinds of feelings anyone might be having, if it's happening repeatedly, then to ask the question, what does this have to do with my childhood?
Right.
And
And you, you,
then,
you may know
and then,
specifically which parent it is, even. So you can just
yeah,
say,
yeah,
what does this have to do with my dad or whatever?
yeah. So, and then just trying to connect the dots. So I guess just like when you or whatever walking to the bathroom and then you're like, "Oh, it has to do with this parent." Is
Right.
it like appropriate then to just go like, "Well, what about that parent?" and like keep connecting the dots or is that overcomplicating it?
No, I think uh, I would say it this way: every time you have that emotional reaction, you need to go back to that aha moment and see that relationship again.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm asking about is the aha moment of like um I guess how deep do you have to go to looking
That's
in
what
your
I'm
past?
saying. That's what I meant with my handbag
The
analogy.
purse. Yeah.
You don't have to go deep. You just need to know. Okay, I got rejection in the bag. I'm feeling rejected again. Okay, I know that's about mom. I got it. Okay, and it just happens instantaneously.
So you're not really connecting 80 dots. You're just making it simple. Okay,
Right,
this is rejection from
right.
mom. Got it.
And that's it.
Okay, look, I'm acting like I'm being rejected by mom right now, but that's she's not here and this isn't that. And I'm not
Exactly.
5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you don't have to go dive deep into it,
Okay.
because
That helps.
that has its own set of problems, because when you dive deep into it, what you're doing is reenacting the problem and feeling all those emotions all over again. And I don't believe that's necessary for self awareness.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course, a lot of people would disagree with me. They think you have to process the emotions. No, I think you just have to understand how your brain works.
Mhm. Cool.
All right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to put it to action.
So one more thing before we go, I want to shamelessly plug my books.
Do it. If you're listening to this, you should buy at least one of them this week and then another one another week.
That is shameless.
But I mean, each time I have read through any of them, it's more freedom for me. And this is going into testimonial and not shameless um, plugging, but just yeah, like if these are things that you are interested in and these are things that you really want help with, this is a very easy way to get help with it from someone who I really respect and has really changed me. So,
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
mhm, yeah. Now you're going to try to start plugging more often so I give you more compliments.
Feels good.
All
All right. We'll see you next time.
right, subscribe, tell your friends.
Bye bye.
Bye.